Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic is I want to go over because I know a lot of athletes are trying to run a faster mile. So in this case, I wanted to speak on how to run a mile in under 6 minutes. So that's running 4 consecutive laps in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So the mile is a highly anaerobic event. You definitely still need endurance in this particular race. But when it comes to the mile race, 1,609 meters, or if you're in high school here in the States, it's 1,600 meters, 9 meters short of a full mile. You have to make sure that you're working on your speed development because the mile is over so fast and it requires such a high amount of oxygen and your ability to quickly and effectively clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. The only problem is you're running at such a high anaerobic effort and building up such a high amount of lactic acid buildup that even if you're properly trained for this race, it's very hard to maintain mile race pace for only 4 laps of the race. Okay, so one key thing I definitely want you all to keep in mind is, especially when it comes to the mile, is focus on the third lap. Okay, the third lap is where most runners get the weakest. It's there because everybody's waiting until that 1 lap to go before they make a move. I always focused on when I was in high school, I ran 4:25 for 1,600 meters when I was in high school. Ended up running 4:22 for the full mile, University of Florida, when I was in college. And I would always focus on running as hard as I possibly could in the third lap and really trying to make my all out attack with 600 meters left to go in the race. I never waited until 4 laps or until the fourth lap before I wanted to make a move. So how do you maintain this 1 minute and 30 second pace for the 4 laps? Okay, maybe you're currently only able to hold it for say 2 laps or 2.5 laps of the race. A lot of times it's just about maturity. It's just about continuing to prepare to break the 6 minute barrier. Okay, a lot of athletes, once they break the 6 minute mile barrier for the first time for the mile, they go and they do it for several miles. They'll go out and then finish. Well, I broke 6 minutes for the mile. Now I can start thinking about how can I sustain 6 minute mile, under 6 minute mile pace for 5 miles or 8 kilometers. Okay, so, or 2 miles. They start breaking the races. They first break one barrier and then they go toward aiming toward the next barrier. So it might be the 2 mile or it might be a 5K at under 6 minute mile pace. Really, it's about building your endurance, staying consistent with your training, making sure that you are doing those consistent long runs every single weekend. And for a miler, you don't have to go that far for a long run. Your long run might be say 7 miles to 9 miles in length. Okay, for a marathoner, it might be 20 to 23 miles in length. Okay, so think about as you're preparing for this sub 6 minute mile goal that you have, invest in yourself, in your self development, either with a training plan or a running coach, somebody that can help guide you. When you have those questions that you want to know, what am I doing in training that's stopping me from breaking the 6 minute mile barrier? That's a huge step in the right direction. Even myself, I invested thousands of dollars myself in learning from the world's top distance, middle to long distance runners and coaches. Okay, because again, they can see things that you're doing that possibly you're missing along the way. Okay, a lot of times with athletes that are trying to break the 6 minute mile barrier, they're running far too aggressive in the first lap of the race and they're going into oxygen debt and then they drastically slow down. Okay, I know this from experience because in high school I was trying to break a 4 minute 1600 meter time and I never had that type of leg speed. Okay, even when I ran 4:25, I went out the first lap in 60 seconds. Okay, looking back, that was a very dumb mistake. Okay, if I would have went out, say, in 67 or 68 seconds, I probably would have ran closer down toward around 4:12 to 4:15 for 1,600 meters. Because again, you're being conservative in that first lap, and especially even the first 2 laps of the race. Focus again, always focus regardless of what distance you're racing. Focus on running the second half of your race faster than you run the first half. Okay, a negative split will increase your chances of success because you're not going so anaerobic too soon and paying for it when it really counts the most. Okay, because if you're conservative in the early laps of the race and you really pour it on in that second 2 laps, you're going to be able to make those moves when everybody else, your competitors, are slowing or slowing down, or a few of those athletes that are well prepared. Those athletes are going to maintain the pace, or they're going to pick up the pace in the second 2 laps of your mile. So if you've trained properly, you've focused on, say, a 12 to 16 week block of training or 20-week block of training preparing for your mile, your chances of being able to react to your competitors in the race, you're going to be able to react to those moves. Okay, so be very cognizant, aware of what you're doing in the first 2 laps of the race. Okay, and wait till you get to 800 meters before you go all out. Run those last 2 laps as hard as you possibly can. Also, make sure that you're paying attention to the amount of tension that you're feeling in your body, okay? Anytime we're running fast, even when you're going out and you're running easy and relaxed on your long runs or your easy runs, monitor the amount of tension you're feeling, okay? Because a lot of times especially the faster we run, our faces start to tense up, shoulders start to rise, there's more tension. Okay, if you look at the best middle to long distance runners, even world-class sprinters, they look relaxed. Okay, I always watch Usain Bolt's races prior to the start of his races. The guy was totally relaxed, but once the gun went off, he was zeroed in and he was ready to go. But they look so relaxed when they're running. Okay, and even some of the world's top distance runners, Haile Gebrselassie of Ethiopia, he's now retired, but he was the first man to break the 2 hour and 4 minute marathon barrier. Look at some of his races prior to the start of his races. He's smiling, he's talking to the other athletes, he's relaxed. Okay, some athletes are very zeroed in, very very tight, and very stressed out at the start of their races. In order to run 1 minute and 30 seconds for 4 laps, obviously prepare for that in training. Do get to a point where you can do repeat 400s on the track in, say, 1 minute and 15 seconds per rep, okay? Or doing repeat 800s on the track at, say, 240 per rep. Again, you're running much, much faster than goal 6-minute mile pace. But also pay attention to the factors that are very, very vital to run a fast mile, like a sub 6-minute mile is. That is a very competitive time. It's still a very fast time that a lot of athletes are out there training to prepare for and achieve. Let your competition be stressed out. Okay, if the weather conditions are bad, everybody has to race in the same conditions. But it's how you handle yourself mentally prior to the start of the race and how you stay relaxed in the race that will help to increase the chances of you breaking the 6-minute mile barrier. Okay, so it's not just about how much volume you're putting in, it's about the other little details that go into a long block of training and how you taper down for your race. I believe in a 10-day taper rather than starting to drop your mileage and your volume and intensity 3 weeks out from your mile. I would start dropping your volume and intensity drastically, about 60%, once you hit 10 days out from your goal mile race. Okay, and then 4 days out from the mile race, I would probably do a 2-mile, 1 to 2 mile effort at about 10 to 15 seconds slower than goal mile pace. Okay, just enough to rev the engine up a little bit, but 1 to 2 miles at just a little bit slower than goal race pace, probably about 20 seconds slower than your goal mile for about a mile or two, and then shut it down. And then the last 3 days leading into that mile, just jog easily or even take those days off. Okay, you're not going to lose any fitness in a matter of 2 to 3 days off completely. Of course, jog for a couple miles. I would recommend that at least 2 days out, and then the day before, take it off. Don't run at all. Just get plenty of sleep the week of the race, leading into the race, and don't stress so much about the night before your mile. Okay, more than likely you have a hard time falling asleep. It's the amount of sleep you're getting the week of your goal mile time that counts the most, not so much the night before. So I hope this is helpful for you. I understand this event. Definitely, it's very highly aggressive in nature. But if you prepare properly in training, give yourself enough time to prepare in terms of length, and you've trained properly, training well below and close to your goal race pace in training, you're going to break the sub 6 minute mile barrier. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. My goal is to get you to that goal faster rather than, having to wait much longer and making the mistakes that other athletes are making. I want you to bypass those mistakes. So I hope this is helpful for you. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your goal mile time is and what your current best mile time is. I'd be really interested in hearing where you all are at in that particular event. Like and share this video. Share it with other people around the world, wherever you're at. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe and bell icon so when I make a new video, you will be notified of it. And I look forward to talking with you all in the next video.